Yahoo News. Now, here's a little bit more of a localized problem with a globalist edge. New York City to phase out its gifted and talented program in school, education side. Mayor Bill de Blasio, big bird bastard, will overhaul New York City's highly selective, racially segregated, gifted and talented education classes. This is a thing that they do a lot in leftist media now. They go on and on about how New York and other big progressive cities are woefully racially segregated. Okay? This is how ridiculous they are. A sea change for the nation's largest public school system that may amount to the mayor's most significant act on the waning months of his tenure. The elementary school gifted and talented program that New York has known for the last several decades will no longer exist for incoming kindergarten students next fall, and within a few years it will be eliminated completely, city officials told the New York Times. Students who are currently enrolled in the gifted classes will become the final cohort in the existing system, which will be replaced by a program that offers accelerated learning to all students. So it's just, instead of spotting talent and instead of rewarding those who work hard and have the best results, you're just going to pop the bubble and disperse it among what's already sucking the system dry. Great. Let's see here. The gradual elimination of the existing program will remove a major component of what many consider to be the city's two-tiered education system, in which one relatively small, largely white and Asian group of students gain access. This is more while they go out and they say stop Asian hate, stop Asian hate crimes and anti-Asian, all that crap, it's really just the progressives. Okay? They find these things, these crosses to bear, and they find these things to throw into your face on a nightly basis because they always need something to sell. They need some kind of a con to sell. But really, everything that they do off camera, whether it be beating people up in the subway or trying to gut the education system because too many Asians are having a good time, working hard and getting results. Asians are not minorities. They are not minorities to progressives. Every once in a while they'll trot them out there and try to pull that, but they're too successful. They have their family units are too whole and steady, and they need the least amount of help. Okay, they need the least amount of help, and I'm not even just talking about Chinese, Japanese, anything that would be considered Oriental. I'm talking about Indians as well, from India. Everything in the Asian continent. So this is where we're at. This is what they continue to do. So New York, home of one of the most racially segregated school systems in the country. Racially I don't know what you want to say. And these are the people who say that school choice, which would actually give all of this money that is being spent and wasted on terrible schools and on shitty teachers, that would actually give this money to students and their parents to then go and put them in schools that have standards, or at least higher standards, and that are going to hold children accountable and challenge them to maybe get more out of them. They're against that. They think that that is racist, and they don't like the fact that some students would actually be enrolled in Catholic schools, would be enrolled in religious schools, because there's separation of church and state. No, they only want you in their religious schools. The move represents one of Bill de Blasio's most dramatic actions to combat segregation in city schools. They keep up with this, segregation in city schools. If you have a public school that is in a largely black and Latino neighborhoods, and that's all that's there, it's not racially segregated. That's the school that they are required to go to. Racially segregated. You know, if New York City is racially segregated, then my God, what is going on elsewhere? What the hell is going on elsewhere? How bad is the world when left-wing nut jobs can't seem to stop themselves from racially segregating the schools in a city like New York. What the hell must be going on out there? They can't even help themselves. They're so racist, these progressives, because they're the only ones that have a say in anything. Now, the answer, of course, is there is no segregation. There is no segregation. And there's no way to also attain equality when no two people are actually equal. But to figure out why whites and Asians do better in school, and to be honest about it, would be a very detrimental thing to liberal politicians that love to continue pretending that they'd have to keep pretending that teachers' unions aren't dumpsters and for unaccountable teachers, and that schools are just, I don't know. They've turned to shit. Public schools should be allowed to fail, just like teachers should be judged on their merits and their talents, if not their physical and not their physical features, because that's what they're trying to do in New York. Because that's another trend that's been building over the last 8 years or so. We've covered it many times on this show. I'm sure it's happening in other school districts around the country where these types of lunatics are in charge. They've been getting rid of aptitude tests for teachers in New York State, namely in the city, because too many white people were getting through. And the diverse candidates, because there's no diversity in someone who has an ethnically European background. There's no culture there. For diverse people, they were having trouble passing basic literacy tests. Okay, and these are teachers. These are the ones who are supposed to go and teach students. They wonder why the schools are failing and everything else. So you can't talk about broken homes. You can't talk about fatherlessness. You can't talk about crime. Just say that people are suffering because the system has ignored them. They always say that. The system is ignoring us, even though it was the system that made them. And putting more money into the system is not going to fix it. Not going to fix it. But you see, the things like I said before, things like school choice and holding bad teachers accountable will kill the gravy train to the unions and the gravy train to the money pit schools. So the default position on everything, of course, is racism. Something you cannot see, but needs to be fought constantly, almost like a virus. Almost like a virus. And I wonder what strain of racism this is that we're dealing with here in New York. How did it manage to thrive? How did this virus manage to thrive in such a liberal paradise? If being progressive is the so-called vaccine for all of our social ails, why, oh why, is racism, the infection rate of racism, so high in liberal cities? Just something to chew on.